Hello, and welcome to yet another throwback episode of the Weird Al podcast about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. In this edition of the Weird Al Anthology archive, whatever I'm calling this series, we once again revisit Lauren and Russ from the past. In this beautiful discussion, Russ at the time was the one who owned the Weird Al Squeeze box set, the comprehensive anthology of Weird Al's entire oeuvre. And we talked through in detail about what the box set looked like, all of the records in it, the packaging, all this, that, and the other. And at the time, I was extremely jealous. At the time, I was like, man, I wish I could own that. At the time, I was like, good golly, this is a nice guy that I'm talking to. And wouldn't you know it, not too long after this episode, that beautiful man and his beautiful box set both happened to end up in my house. So, all this to say, enjoy this trip down memory lane when there were two things on the other side of the mic that I wish I could have, and now I have them both.
How will you do it?
Anyway, without further ado, please enjoy.
Have a drink. Boy, I can never see it.
Do I have a two-hearted, but there's a certain person on social media who goes on all the time about how they never win anything. They're from another podcast on the Odd Pods Media Network.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to name names, but there's just a certain person out there who says they never win anything.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I've won myself a two-hearted because that person left this in my fridge.
I recorded that. That's how this episode is starting.
Well, like I say, let's just leave names out of it. We don't need to say who it was.
No, it's
It was. I don't want to be named. I don't want to be too specific. We'll just say it was an average Joe left the beer here.
An average Joe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's too funny. This has kind of made my day. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Weird Al podcast, the podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. And this is a very special episode. So my brother's not here because he's not very special. And so I have, I just love saying that. And so I have very special people on these episodes with me. And I'm like super excited today because I have Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast, who has been here before. But dude, when you were here before, another very special thing hadn't happened yet. The Weird Al podcast at that point was not part of the Odd Pods Media Network.
It was not.
And now we are.
As a matter of fact, you are. Cheers.
Cheers. So yeah, that's really cool. And since that happened, you're the first Odd Pods person to be on the show.
Ooh.
I know. I know. So you've been here before, but you know what? Do your elevator pitch. Tell the people what your show is about, because the people need to know if they didn't hear like the promo that aired like 2 episodes ago or whatever.
Right. The extremely short version is all music, all the time, all positivity. And that last part is extremely important to me because we could get a metric ton of clicks on social media and everything just by saying things like, we're going to talk about an overrated singer or an overrated album or the most overrated albums of the 70s. And you get those clicks because you're going to insult something that someone loves. And that fires people up. And I would much rather go the harder road, which is let's talk about the underrated albums or the singers that aren't appreciated enough. Or you and I, Lauren, have specifically talked about albums where they have one big hit on it, but the rest of the record is bangers,
yes.
Yeah. I would rather talk about that than I would rather get clicks from getting people excited about something to be positive about than people clicking on my content just to go, I can't believe you said that Metallica song is terrible, or whatever, So that's how it works for me. It's going very well. now. It was a hard road at first, but
Mhm.
now we are gaining more and more people. The biggest negative that we hear about our show or the YouTube channel is people regularly say, I have a laundry list of stuff that I've looked into that you guys said to listen to, and now I'm spending all of this money on music, which is, I will take that as a negative all day from
Yeah.
our show. So,
Yeah.
and the
I,
extremely short version is if you go to infectiousgroupodcast.com, you can find everything you need there. We have a vinyl YouTube channel. We have the audio podcast that comes out every week, but it's all there. So just go to infectiousgroupodcast.com and find everything you need there.
yeah. And you can also look in the notes of this episode because I will put the link there. So if you're lazy, just scroll down a little bit and click a button.
Yes. And I did do, and I'm sure this will be a cross promotion thing when this episode premieres, but on our vinyl YouTube channel, every Thursday, I do a video about a rare or special vinyl pressing that I have. And oftentimes I will do box sets, whether they're rare or not. And Squeezebox being rare, I did an entire video showing everything about the box set. So everything Lauren and I are going to discuss, you'll be able to see in the video that's already available too.
Yeah, so this is like Beard Owl in 3D. Listen to
Yes.
this, then watch that, or do it vice versa. I mean, you can't really do it vice versa because you're listening to this and I'm telling you to watch. So I don't know how you would have watched before you listened, but if you managed to do that, let me know.
Well, you don't know if time travel is invented between the time that we record this and the time it airs. Then,
Yeah, that's true.
Then they certainly could.
They certainly could.
Yeah, I believe in a world of possibilities, Lauren.
That's true. And like we always say here on the Beard Owl podcast, time is a flat circle. So we have no idea. But before, yeah. So like you said, we're talking about the Squeeze box set from Weird Al Yankovic, which I don't know. That might be the first time I've said his full name on this show in a really long time.
Yeah.
Because he's just Al. He's just Weird Al. You know, that's what it is.
It's so funny that you say that because over the years, between me and my friends that love Al as much as we do, we've just dropped the weird part. Even in casual music conversation, like if we're talking about Chili Peppers, and of course, like Bedrock Anthem's going to come up, right? Somebody will just casually say, like, oh, have you ever heard the Al version of that? Like they won't even refer to him as Weird Al. They'll just say Al, and everyone else in the room is like, oh yeah, I've heard that, or oh no, Al did that,
Yeah, he's just Al, which
Yep.
I think that's beautiful to even think. Like he called himself Weird Al in the first place, and then for him to just be Al at this point, he's just an Al or Alfred Matthew Yankovic if you're feeling formal.
Yeah, if you have to write his name on a wedding invitation.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So before we jump into the box set, though, since this is the Beard Al podcast, but for some odd reason, we both have beer right now.
That's weird.
That's really weird. I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
There's so many circles happening here. We're odd pods. It's odd that we have beer. The podcast is Beard Al. We both have beer. This is a little. I don't believe in conspiracies, but I think something's happening here.
Somebody better look into it, and I think a certain average Joe will probably have something to say about all the conspiracies that are happening here, because he seems to try to poke holes in everything that I say. So.
If you've been on Twitter, you may have witnessed this behavior.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Look, I grew up with one brother. I can handle an internet brother too. It's all right. I know how to deal with all that stuff. So
for sure.
Let's briefly talk about the beers we have before we jump into this giant box set, because I don't know how the heck we're going to talk about this box set. So you're going to hear me, people are going to hear me talk about this beer a little bit more in some of our, in the episode actually that we have coming out on Christmas Eve. So I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I have kind of my white whale of beers that I need to make sure that I have, around the holiday season time of year. It's Mad Elf from Trogs Independent Brewing in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I'm currently enjoying one of the 2020 version of this beer, and it's one of those beers that actually sits well on a shelf, so it's not skunky or funky or anything like that. It still tastes just like it should, because it is a spicy, it's an ale brewed with honey and cherries with spicy Belgian yeast and all this, that, and the other, and it's a nice 11% ruby red little beer here that it's nice to sip on. You feel good about it. So it's from I'm from.
Well, and that's the thing. Nothing about the beer I'm drinking is fancy at all in any way, shape, or form, other than it's from where I'm from. And I'm drinking a nice Bell's Two Hearted Ale, which, if you've never had this, this is constantly ranked among every year. There's always an article about the best beers in America or the best IPAs in America. And this Bell's Two Hearted IPA is almost consistently comes out voted as the number one IPA. And for me, it's cool because, and Lauren, and I think this was before we recorded, we were talking about how where you're originally from, Yingling is from there, and other people think it's special, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that this is from where I'm from and it is special. You know, like instead of me being like, oh yeah, that's oh no, that's not good. You know, like, please don't say that's from where I am, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Yingling, I will give it props for being the oldest brewery in America. And the brewery itself in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, is actually built into the side of a mountain. So as they needed more space, they literally like excavated.
Right.
So it's a fun tour to take because you go into a cave, you know, and but you know, it's lager. Like when you live in Pennsylvania, you say, "Oh, I'll have the lager." You're getting Yingling.
Right.
So, you know, I will take Yingling lager over you know, like your Bud Light, your Coors Light, even your Budweiser, you know, stuff like that. If that's all that's being offered to me, then sure, Yingling is fine. But, you know, it's no Mad Elf. So if you're in Pennsylvania, go to Trogs, is what I'm saying. It's in Hershey. Trust me.
I will say this too: if you're in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which I say it's from where I am, but it's actually 2 hours to the west. But if you're in Kalamazoo, there's not really a special like tour or anything to do. That the actual brewery of Bell's is quite small, but if you go to Bell's, they have a lot of variants on all their famous beers, including Two Hearted, that are almost always in rotation on the taps. That now those you can't get anywhere other than the tap room. So.
I love
do that if you're ever over there, stop in there. It's fun. And then Founders is right by there too.
Right.
Yeah. They're huge. Their brewery is enormous.
Oh, because they have like these like God, they've got like a bourbon stout, right?
Yep.
That comes out.
And then their breakfast stout every year is a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, big deals. But you know, speaking of big deals, this freaking box set.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a huge deal.
I have to tell you that I feel the entire world owes me a debt of gratitude because I willed this box set into existence. And now I haven't spoken with Al directly on this, but you know, I have to assume that what happened was this came about because of me.
Sure.
And so you and I have spoken about this, and to let your listeners into it, every Friday night for the past 9 years, we have people over to our house to spin records. Just whoever wants to come over and hang out and drink or not and spin records. And oftentimes we'll get on kicks for certain artists. And one night we got on a kick of the Al records that I had. And the subject of Poodle Hat came up, which you and I have discussed before on the show. As my last appearance, is one of probably the most underrated Weird Al album that there is.
Yeah.
And I went on about how I would love for that to come out on vinyl. And then I kind of kept snowballing. And I said, well, if they're going to do Poodle Hat, like they're not going to do this one random record. Like what they should do is just press everything, all the records that have never been on vinyl and the originals, throw it all in a box set. And I literally said, like, and they could shape the box like an accordion if they wanted to, like, and all this stuff. I said all of this, and I kid you not, 2 weeks later, the box set got announced.
No way.
So again, I'm not saying Weird Al has microphones in my house, but like, I'm pretty sure he does.
He might. Oh my God. You know, like sidebar, and I don't even care that I'm saying this before the people are going to hear my brother and I talk about this because, again, time is a flat circle. We recorded an episode that's coming out after this, before this, but whatever.
Right.
Timelines are crazy. This Mad Elf that I'm drinking, they come out with a different version of it every single year. And the very first episode of the Beard Owl podcast, which came out in May of 2020, we talked about the night Santa went crazy, and my brother and I each had an old bottle of Mad Elf, right? And we were telling this story how it's like, it's not Christmas without Mad Elf. Mm. Well, the blurb on the 2021 version of Mad Elf from Trogs says it's not the holiday season without Mad Elf. And we're like, they got that from us. They had to have heard us because like.
So if nothing else, that we've confirmed that people are not just listening to our podcast, which we know, but now we've confirmed, obviously, that people are interested and they have microphones in each of our respective homes and are monitoring what we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. The conspiracy theory starts here, and like I'm okay with it because I can't be embarrassed at this point. So if people are listening, that's fine. Judge me all you want.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Same here. Have a riot judging.
So.
But I kid you not, 2 weeks later, I sent that link to like everybody who ever hangs out the house. And I was like, the thing that I said they should do, they're doing.
It happened.
And I kid you not, as amazing as this set is, and we'll get into it, my whole joy was, I'm going to have Poodlehead on vinyl finally.
I'm like supremely jealous of you for this because I think you and I had talked about this previously. It's like when this came out, like I just didn't have the disposable income to get it at the price that it was going for. And I get why it went at the price it was going for. Like I'm not begrudging that at all. But now it's like, I have the disposable income now that I would have needed to get it then.
Right. Yeah.
But now it's like people selling it on eBay for like 4 or 5 times that much. And I'm like, okay, I don't have that much disposable income.
Yeah, the aftermarket. Well, and the issue here now today, and I won't labor this point too much though, is the vinyl resurgence is getting to a point now where very common records are going for ridiculous prices. And so when you take something like Squeezebox, which is roughly half of it is not available elsewhere, the aftermarket gets way out of hand way fast, and so assuming this vinyl resurgence, I certainly don't want it to go away, but if it dies down some over the next year or two, then you might see the prices dial back a little bit on things like that. But I couldn't believe how fast that one got out of hand. And again, it's mostly because of over half of it being stuff that you can't get elsewhere.
Yeah.
That it's just, I'm certain there are people who bought it strictly to flip it, just like, PlayStations and everything else. And that's a bummer, but all we can do is sit back and try and put out, continue to try and put it out good and hope something comes of it. You never know. Maybe somebody in the L community, has one that they're sitting on that'll get a hold of you and say, hey, let me let you get it for face value or whatever. You never know. Stuff like that can happen all the time.
I would love that. I mean, honestly, I would settle for just the medium rarities.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can listen to everything else, not on vinyl format necessarily, although I did, for my birthday, my parents gave me money and they were like, we don't know what you want, get something that you want. So I went, and I got the self-titled debut album in 3D and Dare to Be Stupid on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
So I have those, so like I have stuff, but like I would just love to have medium rarities because that's stuff you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, literally anywhere else
in any format, So, well, but before let's just dive into what this thing is. You said you had some you did a little research into what you could get before, what you couldn't get before, and stuff like that. So give us the overview of what this thing is. And did you weigh it ahead of time? How heavy is this?
I didn't, and it's
I didn't ask you to.
What's interesting is that the only, and I covered this in the video, the only complaint that I have about the set is that the covers for the individual LPs are the thinnest. Like it's like just a little thicker than paper. Like the copies of Dare to Be Stupid in 3D that you have probably feel like an encyclopedia thickness compared to the covers that are in this set. Having said that, and again, I covered this in the video, but I get why they wanted to make them fit into this accordion. So they're not quite 12 inches. Like they're like a little smaller than the normal LP cover, and they're flimsy because it's meant to be housed in this accordion anyways. Okay. Yeah. So, but what you do get with it is you get it is faithful reprints of every single album cover. It's all 14 Weird Al studio albums plus the medium rarities. Medium rarities. I always say that, and it's no, it is medium rarities, right?
Yes, it is.
There's a Foo Fighters rare LP also called Medium Rare, and that's why I always get the two of them mixed up. And it's the same thing. It's the same album. It's Foo Fighters songs that you can't get anywhere else other than that one LP.
So which one came out first?
So it's a plastic molded accordion, and in the center of the accordion, when you fold it out, it has slots for all of the LPs that are in there. And it's literally, it's the actual title of the box set. It says The Complete Works of Weird Al. Now, I hope that that's going to be untrue in the future. You know, like I hope that there's more Weird Al coming, but so at the time that it was released, it's literally everything that Weird Al has ever commercially released, and then some, because of the medium rarities LP. So, and then on top of that, you get a ridiculous book that has just so many pictures and stories and pictures from tours and video sets and songwriting sessions and recording sessions and backstage passes. And if you've ever wanted a glimpse into, if you've ever listened to, say, Polka Party and wondered what was happening when they recorded it or whatever, there's a very accurate picture of from conception to tour for that album, and then again for all the rest of it.
That's so cool. Like that, I'm jealous that you have it. I love that you have it. Like, I want it for myself, but you know, again, like you have to say to yourself, what would Weird Al do in this moment? Like, I'm happy for you for having this, and I'm just like, you know what? It's out there in the world. It wasn't meant for me to have at that time. Maybe it will happen again. Like you said, maybe some Weird Al fan is listening. That's how I got my Weird Al watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are very good people out there, and you don't know. Someone that's listening to this might have one that was earmarked for resale and think, you know what, I'd rather this go, you know, to a person that really, really wants it and will love it, you know. And one thing too, I will say, at the time that it came out, at the time I very much had disposable income, so I was like, well, I'm buying that. But this, and you know me well enough, Lauren, and your listeners probably do if they listen to the episode that I did before, this absolutely went to a good home. Like, I love all things Al. This is not something that sits on a shelf that doesn't get touched. It doesn't get not listened to. You know, I couldn't care less what the price goes for. This regularly gets spun. I give Al educations constantly to people with it, you know, who don't know that he did this parody or that style parody, you know. And I always say, oh, wait, hold on. Now I have Poodle Head on vinyl. Let me, you know, bust that out and play it for you or whatever. So it is absolutely where it should be because I'm using it for its well-intended purpose.
Yes. Yeah. You are, and I'm welcoming you into this fold, which is not a large fold, but myself and Nathan Rabin, the author of Weird Al the book, The Weird Accordion to Al, and the Weird Coloring to Al coloring book, which I am pimping like super hard on this show because it's a great coloring book that I think everybody should have.
A friend of mine on another podcast won a copy. Oh no, he didn't. Never mind.
Yes. Oh, not him. But,
yeah. No, a friend of mine on another podcast did win one, but I also had another friend who thought he was going to win one and did not.
But did not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my personal copy of the Weird Coloring to Al from Nathan Rabin, the club that I'm inviting you to join right now is a thing that he put in the cover of it for me. Oh no, that was the pre-copy of it. But anyway, he called us Weird Al Evangelists.
Oh, I will be humbled and honored to be invited into that club.
So yes, you are a Weird Al evangelist, and you're doing the good work.
And you know, that makes me part of two clubs now, because the box set also came with a t-shirt that proclaims to the world that I am a close personal friend of Al. And now that has nothing to do with the fact that I paid several $100s for a box set, or that everyone else got the t-shirt as well. I think we can all agree that that was meant for me specifically.
Correct.
And if you were to run into Al on the street and ask him, he would obviously say, yes, that's a close personal friend of mine.
Of course. And I will get you even deeper into that group, because there is a Facebook group for the close personal friends of Al.
Yes.
Whether or not you own that box set. And I'm in that Facebook group, which is a whole lot of fun.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's something. That's the people that you need to have
looking at stuff. So okay, we have to talk about the box set now. I don't even know how to do this. You
Well,
know?
but I kind of made some notes that I think will help keep us on track.
Great, because there's so much here. It's his entire oeuvre.
For sure. And what I said was the whole thing sprung from a discussion about Poodle Hat and then me really wanting that, right? And at the time, I knew all of Weird Al's albums, but I didn't know how much was not available on vinyl ever until I started reading down this box set, after I'd already clicked order and everything. I'm like, well, I don't care whatever I'm getting in here is fine, like.
Yeah.
So the albums that were included on vinyl for the first time in this set are Alapalooza, Bad Hair Day, Running with Scissors, Poodle Hat, and Straight Outta Linwood. I was shocked at how many had never been on vinyl before.
Okay, so then Alpocalypse and Mandatory Fun were already on vinyl.
We're already on vinyl, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing Alpocalypse on vinyl a couple months after the CD was released, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. Maybe they're going to go back and do the rest of the Weird Al albums now. And then they never did, until this set came out.
Yeah, so I mean, you know more about the way record companies work than I do, right? But like Weird Al, he signed a contract with a record company at one point, and then it got bought, and then that got bought, right? Because his first several episodes, oh my god! So his self-titled debut through Bad Hair Day were on Scotty Brothers Records, and then Running with Scissors through Apocalypse were on Volcano Entertainment, and the Mandatory Fun was RCA Records, and now all three are owned by Sony Entertainment. So, like, did the vinyl distinction depend on who the quote-unquote record company was at the time?
100%. It all depends on who owns the rights to what at that time. And two artists I can give you an example for. Well, I'll narrow it down to one, actually, instead of diluting it. So, Pink Floyd. In Europe, for the entirety of their career, have been signed to EMI. So from their first record in 67 to the last one in 2016, they've been signed to EMI the entire time. In the US, they were never signed to EMI Records. They were signed to Capitol in the US, and they were contracted for 7 albums through Capitol Records. Their first 7 records starts with The Piper at the Gates of Dawn and ends with The Dark Side of the Moon. So when they put out The Dark Side of the Moon, EMI in Europe was happy as hell. They're like, yay, this band we invested all this money in now is having this large selling record, right? Whereas Capitol Records in the US was like, hey, how do you guys feel about re-signing, for like cheap and whatnot? And Pink Floyd was completely in the driver's seat, right? Because they just released The Dark Side of the Moon. So they were able to negotiate like you wouldn't believe. And from Wish You Were Here on, they were signed to Columbia, which again now is under the Sony umbrella. Okay. So if someone is going to release a Pink Floyd box set and wants to say, we're going to do 1970 to 1980, that causes a huge issue because you can get the rights from EMI for those albums from Europe. But then in America, for the 3 that came out between 70 and 72, you have to negotiate with one record label. And then the 3 that came out from 75 to 80, you have to negotiate with a different record label. So now take all of that and put it to Weird Al. You have 3 different companies over the course of one career, and one company's got to take on the cost of, the plastic molding of the accordion, the production of the book, the plating process for pressing vinyl and everything. They're going to take on this cost, and then they're going to have to negotiate with the other 2 companies over, your percentage has to be less because we took on the cost of it's
madness.
Heaven and earth would have to be moved for something like this to have occurred.
Well, I mean, and it's Weird Al, so of course it happened.
Well, yeah, obviously. Well, and again, not to labor the point, but I believe that they probably were just thinking about it, and then when I said it, they said, "Well, now we have to do it."
Well, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you're the keystone in this arch of amazingness that happened here,
Right.
you know? And
Yeah.
talking about rights, I think that gets us to an interesting point in the on the Medium Rarities album of this with a song that I've heard because fortunately it's on YouTube and I've
Mhm.
been able to listen to it, but Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that don't know, because it's not readily available for everyone, it's a parody of the Beatles' Taxman.
Mm-hmm.
And the hoops that the legal hoops that had to be jumped through to get that out into the world was also something interesting because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just George Harrison's estate, right? It was also the company that owned the rights to the Pac-Man sounds because he actually had the Pac-Man sounds.
Which, and I don't mean to sidebar too far here, but Pac-Man, for me, Pac-Man is absolutely the highlight of the Medium Rarities LP.
From looking at it, yes, it's got to be.
Because, first of all, it's every bit as brilliant as I wanted it to be. When you hear a lot of unreleased things from artists, sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, I see why that got left off the album, or whatever. And when you hear Pac-Man, everything about the lyrics are exactly as brilliant as Al's entire career was. But for me, the highlight of it is, and I'm sure you've talked about this a ton on your show, and I always talk about it with friends, the attention to detail and the things that Weird Al does when he replaces something or to replicate something in his own song. Now, the solo on Taxman is very famously, it's played backwards and there's a lot of weird sounds and whatnot. And the fact that Weird Al put the intermission music from Pac-Man where the guitar solo goes in that song is brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't do anything by accident. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said this phrase before, but I feel like I have to right now. Like, it's intentional genius, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people stumble into genius. I'm one of those accidental geniuses. Not that I'm calling myself a genius, but I feel like everything that I've ever done that I'm like, wow, this is amazing, has been kind of by accident.
Sure. Yeah.
But I feel like everything he does is very much on purpose. And I'd be curious to know if he feels like it's as on purpose as like I think it is.
He has to. Like, and I don't even think that, because the immediate thought, right, is, well, you'd have to be an egotist to think that, right? And not that anyone would ever think that of Weird Al from everything we know of him, but I don't think you would have to be an egotist to think that. Like, if you on purpose set out and the source material that well and pop culture that well or whatever, and you can make a calculated move like that, I think there's no shame in going, when someone says, oh, that's brilliant, there's no shame in being like, I did that on purpose. Like, there's no shame in that, in my opinion.
Yeah. And oh my God,
because there's a difference between going, yeah, that is great, and taking credit for it,
and right, because Weird Al wouldn't go, yeah, that is great. Weird Al would kind of go, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
I'm making a face at you that nobody else is going to see, but he was like, yeah, I did that.
Just if anybody's ever seen an Al TV interview, she made that face.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I feel like the whole Medium Rarities thing, since on the show we've kind of done album rundowns of most of the albums, and this is mostly just like a different medium for some of these, I need to touch on some of these Medium Rarities things because some of them I've seen on YouTube and have just tickled me to no end. Jurashiku Park.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Jurassic Park in Japanese, which I don't know why I'm laughing so much at this, but it's delightful.
Well, what I love about it is there are some very famous worldwide known acts who do that with their lead singles, and most people in the US don't know that. For example, David Lee Roth, his first full album that he released after he left Van Halen, not the EP, but the first full album, you can get that album entirely in Spanish. And it's David Lee Roth doing David Lee Roth, but he's singing very fluent and very well the entire record in Spanish because he had an enormous following in South America and in Mexico. So he went through and recorded the record specifically for them.
For them.
Michael
The Beatles.
Jackson, the lead single off of Bad, I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Michael Jackson recorded that song in French and Spanish in addition to the English one. And that happens a lot. So for me, when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, Weird Al did the thing. Like he did the thing. Yeah.
You know, I did, because I didn't put the puzzle together because the Beatles did "She Loves You" and "I Want to Hold Your Hand" in German because they you know got their start in Germany. It's like "She liebt dich, ja ja ja," and like that's funny. Like "Lick ich me deine Hand," I want to hold your hand or something like that.
As you do.
Yeah.
Rolls right off the tongue. It's the German language is lovely in a word.
I mean, because like the beat, "I want to hold your hand." It's like come to me. I hope you understand. It's like oh komm to mir.
Yeah,
I think you understand. It's like it's so weird. But like
I've gone inside. I have to sidebar again, but one thing I love about collecting vinyl is hype stickers. You know, you just sent me one the other day for your in 3D has a great hype sticker on it.
Yeah, it does.
I have an affinity for hype stickers that are wrong, like that are like featuring this hit single, and you're like, that is not the hit single. Here, I'll give you one in your wheelhouse. I have a first pressing of Tango in the Night by Fleetwood Mac, and the hype sticker on it says features the hit single Big Love. Now, talk to 20 people on the street, ask them if they've ever heard of the album Tango in the Night, and ask them what the hit single was off of it, and all 20 people are going to never ever name Big Love as
never
the big
name
single
Big
off
Love.
that. Yeah.
It's either going to be it's Little Lie.
Little Lies and Seven Wonders.
Seven
really
Wonders.
The big hits. And then, but anyways, the reason why I brought that up is because this is all connected to the German language. Is I have a German pressing of the first Wilson Phillips record, as in like "Release Me" and "Hold On," and the German pressing of it has a hype sticker on the front in all German, and it's the most aggressive sounding hype sticker ever for like this just really aggressive looking hype sticker, and then you put the record on and it's like hold on for one more day,
I know that there's pain, but you hold on for one more day.
Like they were like, you will hold on,
you must hold on.
Yeah.
Resistance is futile.
One thing that's a highlight for me on medium rarities, and I know this isn't rare per se, but it was only on the Al in a Box set, is Headline News, because I think that song is criminally underrated.
Oh,
because no one, every time, and it happens to come up a lot with us sitting around talking about music, every time the Crash Test Dummies come up, I'm always like, oh, in the Weird Al version. And people are just like, where he did that? And I think it's because it was part of a box set and whatever, so it was limited exposure. But I think that is one of the most brilliant parodies that he's done. And it's just no one even knows that he did it.
Okay. This is one of the few times that something that people always want to have happen actually happened. Weird Al did Headline News with the Crash Test Dummies live.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
It's on YouTube. And to see the lead singer of the Crash Test Dummies, like being himself, while Weird Al's wearing like a stupid, like straight haired, like wig and stuff, kind of being Weird Al. And this singer is just like, he's trying so hard not to laugh as like he's singing his song, but there's like belch noise behind him.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
All you have to do, like, seriously, search YouTube for like.
Oh, I'll look for it.
Yeah. It's.
But I love that that's on here. Like that was one of those things where when it was like, and then it's going to have an extra LP of rare stuff, even though this isn't rare. I literally was like, looking down the track list, like, please have Headline News, please have Headline News, please. There it is. I was really excited when it was on. This
is probably the track that makes it medium rare.
Yeah, that's true. Because they're like, you probably own this. If you're buying this Al set, you probably have this song, But,
yeah, probably. Yeah. We had it. My brother and I had this on cassette.
Mm-hmm.
The
Al in a Box permanent record.
Yeah. We had it on cassette.
Yeah, I think if there was a cassette single for Headline News, I probably bought that because I think that was the only unreleased song on permanent record. Look at us now. We're talking about a whole different album box set, but
I know. It
I,
doesn't matter. It
I think
was.
that was the only, yeah, okay. It was the only unreleased song. So, and at the time, I was just a baby Elf evangelist. I hadn't grown into my full membership yet, but I was day one release guy for every Al record that had come out up till that point. So when that box set came out, I was like, oh, I don't want to buy the whole box set for the song I don't have, you know?
Yeah. And
So
I get
I
that.
think there was a cassette single for it. But in any case, yeah, I was super excited that it was on this because now it's something that we listen to everything on Friday nights, but by and large we spin records. And so it's great for me to be like, oh, you have to hear this, you know, and bust that.
Yeah. And so on any random Friday night, you can totally pull out Lousy Haircut. I'm so angry at my idiotic barber.
Yep.
Which is was a highlight of Weird Al concerts since 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the Lousy Haircut video clip made its debut on the Weird Al show.
Yeah.
Which as I like to say on the show, aired in the year of our Lord 1997 from August through December.
Yeah.
It was a bright time in history.
It was a long run.
Super long run. I did a whole episode about that with somebody. We talked about all the ways that went wrong.
Oh yeah.
Because there was just so much that went wrong there. It could have been so good, but you know, the powers that be did not allow it to be. But we got Lousy Haircut out of it.
Yeah.
It's
And
so funny.
I just love that all of that was gathered, and even, you know, circle back to Pac-Man, like the fact that, and again, this goes back to Weird Al being Weird Al. He didn't just approach Danny Harrison out of the clear blue sky and go, hey, you can do something for me. Like they had cultivated a friendship long before this was ever going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it wasn't like, oh, hey, I need this from you. It was just like, you know, hey, if you could help with this. And then Danny was the bridge, as he usually is, between the estates, you know, to go to other people and be like, okay, hey, we're going to put our name on this and let it go, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, not to sidebar all the sidebars that are happening, but I think this is collectively a sidebar because there's just so much to talk about. Like, what is the actual narrative thread here? But anyway, there's a great video of Weird Al doing "What Is Life" by George Harrison at George Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it's not a parody. It's nothing. It's a straight him just performing the song.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And
I had a friend of mine watch that. I don't know if it was streamed on pay-per-view or if it was an HBO event or whatever. And my buddy's an enormous George Harrison fan. And he texted me and he said, dude, Weird Al just came out and put me in tears, because he said it was such a sincere, loving performance of the song that it just, and he's like, dude, he's like, I seriously, and when I got the text, I thought, oh, well, he must have done something funny, you know, like I was laughing so hard I cried, you know. And my buddy was like, no, he's like, it was so sincere and so good. You could just tell he loved George so much that like the performance was so good. He's like, I got choked up. He's like, nobody the rest of the night got me choked up except for Weird Al.
And that's the magic of Weird Al. And I think that word sincerity is what, that could be the thesis. That could be the thing that ties the room together. You know, it's the rug. It's the Big Lebowski rug that ties the room together here. It's because he's so sincere in everything he does. Like you can't hate it, you know. And this box set, like his entire work of his entire career, is just like him cultivating relationships in a sincere way to basically be a weird funhouse mirror on pop culture for the past 40 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you just get it all in this one amazing set. And even this sounds so remedial to say, but the packaging itself is just the fact that it's in an accordion, and
it won a Grammy for that. So we have to talk about the packaging itself.
Yeah. It's, believe it or not, by the way, and I think I mentioned this in my video review, when they shipped, because there was a long lead on it, because these were they weren't manufactured to the number. But because of everything involved in it, they did a pre-order in January and it didn't ship until November of that year.
Wow. Okay.
And when they shipped, there were people complaining on vinyl forums that the accordion was unplayable. And I thought, what kind of unreal expectations did you set for yourself in life that you thought that this was coming in a playable accordion with 15 LPs in the center of it and a book hanging on the side? Like what?
Okay. That's madness. Knowing what I know now about accordions,
Right.
they're very complex, okay? Like there was no way to make that workable.
Right. Yeah. It's the internet being the internet, you know.
It's the hubris. It's blind hubris is what that is.
Yeah. And I just, but my thing was, let me put it this way. This is one of the few products, I will say, the Garth Brooks vinyl sets that came out last year and the Prince Super Deluxe box sets that have come out. Those and this Weird Al set are the things that when they arrived on my doorstep, they were 100% what I was expecting and hoping for.
Yeah. Weird Al does not disappoint. And yeah.
There's been plenty of artists that, like, when I get the package home, I go, oh, well, that was photographed from a very creative angle, and like, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not nearly as cool as I thought it was going to be. But literally, when I opened this, I was like, this is exactly what I thought this was going to be,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's truth in advertising, and I think, again, speaking as somebody who's purchased a lot of Weird Al paraphernalia from the internet, everything that comes from Weird Al
from Al Express.
Yeah, AliExpress.
There should be a site that only sells Weird Al goods from overseas and call it AliExpress.
I mean, I'd be their number one customer.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, well, it looks like that woman in Florida ordered more stuff.
I just bought the stupidest Weird Al Christmas sweatshirt.
Fantastic.
It's so bad, but it's so good.
That's fantastic.
It's a Christmas tree with like.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter earlier today. Yeah.
It's so stupid, but like, this is what I'm wearing to all my fancy holiday parties.
Well, yeah. I mean, why would you not?
Just
everything about this is so great. Cool. The packaging is just, like I say, it's hard to describe. Like, if I was going to have a complaint, it's that the LP sleeves are so thin. But it's, again, the way the package all goes together, and it was all meant to be together. Like, not everybody, like, even like those Prince box sets that I spoke about, like, I take the LPs out of them and file them in with my regular records. Not everyone does that. Like, this was meant, I feel like this is more meant to be a display piece than something that is actively used. I'm the guy that just ordered it, was like, oh no, I'm actively using this all the time.
I would actively use it too. So again, anybody, if you have one, it will be actively used by me on probably a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, if you want an Al in the box squeeze, not Al in the box, if you want a squeeze box, there's so many boxes. If you want the squeeze box to be loved by somebody who would love it deeply, comment below.
Yeah. Hit the link in bio. Let us know.
Hit the link in bio. Please let me know.
But yeah, God. It's such a wonderful set and such a great document of everything that you touched on this earlier. You can sit down with this set and get we didn't start the fire style education on the last 30 years of pop culture, even if you just put on each LP and listen to the polka from each album.
Yes. Oh yes,
you would just have a quick crash course in everything that happened in pop culture in the last, and again, we referenced headline news. If you want to know what was going on in the world in 1994, you can just listen to that song. The 3 biggest stories of the whole year are recapped in that song. Right there
in that song for you. Yeah. It's wild, and speak to that point, like the polkas. So I'm sure people saw this on Twitter, but for my birthday's Halloween weekend, I dressed up as Weird Al and I went out for karaoke. And I knew I needed to do a polka, right?
Sure.
And so I thought really long and hard about it. And then fortunately, the karaoke DJ that I was singing with had over 50 Weird Al songs available for karaoke singing.
That's amazing.
And I was expecting like 10 tops,
Oh
and
yeah. 10
right,
tops and 4 of them are variations of Eat It.
right, exactly. But no, he had 50, and I was like, holy cow, I'm gonna have a really good time. And so
I'm going to have a really good time. I'm not sure about the rest of you here, but I'm going to have an amazing time.
no, exactly. And first of all, two things. It was my birthday, and I was dressed up like Weird Al, so I felt like I could do anything.
Mhm,
But I decided to do Polka Your Eyes Out
mhm,
from Off the Deep End,
mhm.
because that's the one that starts with the riff to Rock the
For
Cradle of Love.
Yeah.
And the look on people's faces when they heard that riff, they thought it was going to be one thing, and then
Mhm.
the slide whistle, whew, Rock the Cradle of Love comes in. And then I started going into all these early 90s songs that everybody kind of knew. There
Yeah.
was this dude sitting at the bar, and he pulled like a slow turnaround in this chair when I got to the Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump. He was like,
Do me, baby. Do the
do the
Humpty
Humpty
Hump.
Hump.
Come
Come
on.
on,
My
dude.
favorite part. My favorite part is come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that polka is Word to Your Mother
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
in Ice Ice Baby.
Mhm.
But like, I slowly started getting people's attention as they started kind of recognizing bits of songs that they knew. And I feel
Mhm.
like I picked the right one, because I could have done more recent ones. I could have done some earlier ones, but I felt like early 90s are those
Oh
kind of
yeah.
songs that are going to get people like, what is happening here?
Mhm.
And it was so much fun because it was a beautiful snapshot. I kind of looked at the average age of the people around here, and I was like, early 90s. Most of the people here are going to know this stuff. Let's go. And oh, it was
It's
delightful.
like
And that's who he
that
is.
one or the Bad Hair Day polka. You couldn't go wrong either way.
The alternative
Was it?
polka.
Is it? Yeah, alternative. Okay. Which one is Angry White Boy on?
Poodle hat.
Okay, that's right. I don't know why, but with the late 80s and early 90s polkas are like a blur to me where they fall on which record. All of the rest of them I could take as soon as you started, I'll be like, oh, that's the album it's from. But for some reason, like that little section for me, I can never remember which one's on which one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, we've done enough Weird Al trivia excursions as
Oh yeah.
either
Yeah.
on this show or in other places that I have studied which polkas on which album and like what's on each polka. That's a weird study session to have.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
looks at you and goes, even worse. And you go, there's no polka on that one. Trick question.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
That's the other Billy Idol connection. Well, it's a cover of a cover, but excuse me, his
alimony.
And I love that when Billy Idol released his version of Moni Moni, there were 2 versions out. He had a studio version and a live one. And the live one was the one that most people knew because the live one was in the video, but the version they played on the radio was a studio version that was much different. And when I saw, again, day one purchase, when I went to buy Even Worse and I saw Alimony, I was like, that's going to be Moni Moni. And I was like, please, 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 please be the live version. And it is. So I was really excited about that. I think that's another one that's a crazy underrated Weird Al parody.
It is. And here's what's interesting about Even Worse. And I don't know if this thought has ever consciously crossed your mind, but 3 of the parodies on Even Worse are parodies of covers.
Yeah.
Which is wild to think about. I Think I'm a Clone Now. I Got My Mind Set on You.
That's right.
6 words long, and Alimony.
Yeah. And 2 of the 3 of those are Tommy James originals. Tommy James and the Shondells originally did I Think We're Alone Now and Moni Moni.
Isn't that wild?
Which means, by the way, that Tommy James had the most amazing late 80s ever because Tiffany charted so high with I Think We're Alone Now, and then Billy Idol charted so high with Moni Moni. And Tommy James and the Shondells got paid on that. And then Weird Al, retroactively, again, Weird Al did both songs on his very well-selling record at the time. So I bet Tommy James had the greatest late 80s residual checks in the history of the world.
I'm sure. It's not like that Seinfeld episode where he's signing checks for 7 cents.
Right,
It's like, I mean, he probably had a great late 80s.
Yeah. Tommy James kicked off the 80s with Joan Jett having a monster hit with the cover of Crimson and Clover, and then took a couple of years off to go on vacation from that money, and then made all the rest of the money at the end of the 80s on all those.
Yeah. sidebar to a sidebar, like what was with all the Tommy Jones covers in the
They-
80s?
Great music, like it was just great music. You
is
had
that what it
people,
is?
well, you had Joan Jett coming out of punk
Mhm.
doing a song that is 100% different than what she was doing before, but great music is great music,
Yeah.
like it doesn't, and I remember when, and this is so funny how meta it is. Tiffany on her album with I Think I'm Alone Now has a Beatles cover on that album as well. She does I saw her standing there.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
And so everybody in the late 80s was like, hey, did you know that the music 20 years ago was amazing? So everybody was cutting covers, a lot of them were thrown out there just as not throw off singles, but just kind of as like in addition to their own big single. And for Weird Al, that's got to be just amazing. Other than navigating the rights for things, like he's got to be like, oh my, I never thought I'd get a chance to parody Moni Moni, but here we go,
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, see all this stuff. Oh my god! And like my beer's almost done. We're basically about to hit an hour on this, and this is where I like to keep these episodes too. And so
yeah, me too. We do the same thing on my show. Let me end this on a high note of sorts, though. So let me say this is a hopeful high note, and this is just from what I know of the vinyl industry. Now, when they produced these sets, they made it very clear that they were going to be one-off things. I would assume mostly because of the plastic mold accordion. But once the biggest thing when a record is not available on vinyl is you say, well, no one's going to go through all the trouble to do that because you have to get the master tapes. From the master tapes, you have to make mother and father stampers. From that, you have to make the actual duplicate stampers, and then they have to keep making those to press an album on vinyl. So that's why, like Motley Crue, huge band there, or Van Halen even, the first part of Van Halen's career, you can walk into any record store and find a billion copies of those records. But the middle part of their career that was in the late 90s, that when vinyl wasn't popular, the reason why a lot of record labels won't go back and do it is because they have to go through that whole process from scratch to make a vinyl record, right? And if it ain't happening for Van Halen in, a band that big, then the chances of that happening for other artists become significantly smaller, right? That's why a lot of albums, I'm always like, this will never be on vinyl. Here's how this all circles into good news, though. Now that that's done for Alapalooza through Linwood, somewhere in a warehouse is every mother, father stamper that's ever been made for any album ever. And now you don't have to get out the master tapes. You don't have to make those stampers. You don't have to worry about the reproduction of the art because all of that work's been done. So they could very easily start issuing these records on their own. And then it would just be up to, if they choose, let's say they choose not to reproduce the self-titled album through Off the Deep End, it would just be on you as a collector to find like an original of those. But I
can do that. I'm halfway there. I could do that.
Yeah. So they could very easily reproduce these ones that are exclusive to the set for now. Those stampers are sitting, I guarantee you, in a vault somewhere, and they could just go, hey, let's just put those out on their own. So it's a huge process that if it wasn't already to where it is, I would tell you there's probably zero chance of them ever coming out again. But with the process where it is now, there's no reason why somebody couldn't say eventually, like, hey, let's just release, those albums individually. So well over half the work for that to maybe be a thing is already done. So
yeah, you made me feel a little bit better about this because I, as much as I'd love to have the accordion, I don't need it to live. Okay?
No, me either. Yeah. Yeah. For me, I was like, oh, the accordion's neat, the book's neat, but I want the music. You know what I mean? Like I want the music. One thing I famously say on my channel, because you get vinyl collectors who always go, oh, I saw this rare record, but I passed on it because the cover was beat up. And I'm like, well, what condition was the record in? Oh, I didn't bother to look. And the thing I always say to other vinyl collectors is, you don't play the cover, man. Like you play the record. Like I take care of my stuff. Like I don't step on my covers and stuff, but like if the LP's in good shape, I don't care what condition the cover's in, And so with this, it's like, if I had the accordion, cool. but I want the music. The music matters more to me than anything. And that part of that is already done to where we could get reissues of these records on their own. So
I like that.
there is hope. Yeah. And even medium rarities with music, with record store day being as big of a deal as it is, there's nothing saying they couldn't just press that for record store day on its own, you know. And I mean, 1,000 copies, 1,500 copies, whatever they do for record store day. But, you know, there's nothing saying that couldn't just be released randomly for a record store day.
Yeah. Like Beat on the Brat came out for record store day on a,
right.
like a 3-inch something.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, wild stuff. But yeah, that's a good positive note. And I like that note because it makes me feel like I could ultimately have these. It's not like I can't listen to, Weird Al whenever I want.
Sure.
But
yeah, and this gets more into what I talk about on my show or more on my YouTube channel than anything, but I'm not the guy that says like, oh, nobody should stream anything. I stream stuff all the time. Streaming is wonderful for a million different reasons. I happen to prefer vinyl. I'm not the guy that goes around trying to convince everybody they should also listen to vinyl, but I'm just speaking specifically to people who are like, but I would really like to own that on vinyl. All I can say to you is in my experience, all is not lost,
Yeah.
And I just to give you an example, like the Prince one, the releases that have come out since Prince passed, Warner and Sony are getting all this praise for, and they're re-releasing all these rare Prince records. Well, all that work was done because all that stuff was already on vinyl. Like all they did was send somebody down to the vault and was like, hey, go get that stamper. You know what I mean? And they like started pressing the records and they put it back out, So if it's ever, the biggest thing is if it's never been on vinyl before, then that's when you go, oh boy, this may never happen.
But now you're right. Now, the first big step has been done, so it could theoretically happen for the rest of us. And who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do? Weird Al's he's a very altruistic human.
Oh, I see what you did there.
And so he might put it out again. Who knows?
Yeah. If not, I would be surprised if these records don't get at least individual releases. I'd be very surprised.
And I'd be cool with that because, like I said, I got self-titled in 3D and Dare to Be Stupid. And actually, sidebar to this before I let you go, because my brother is getting a gift from me for this, because I did a buy now on eBay for in 3D and a buy now on eBay for Dare to Be Stupid. And so I got those. And then I entered an auction, my first ever eBay auction. I always only ever do the buy nows for a bundle of self-titled and in 3D. Mm-hmm. I ended up winning that auction. And I was like, oh, well, I only need the self-titled from this because I have the in 3D. So my brother's getting an in 3D because I don't need two.
Sure. Yep.
So
that's awesome.
He's going to get that for me. So we'll both at least had to have that because it has one of our top songs on it, Mr. Popeil, which opens side 2. Yeah. That's a rad song. And I work in advertising, marketing, copywriting. And so I get a silent little chuckle to myself every time I'm like writing ad copy for a sale or something. And I say, don't miss out on this deal.
Yeah.
And they let it go and it goes out into the world. And I'm like, don't miss out on this deal. I don't know where that came from in my head, but whatever, it works.
You need to start working in as much of specialist city copy as you can into things.
Yeah, I will. I like to have little jokes with myself like that. And so I think it'll happen. Yep. But Russ, this has been delightful.
Well, that's my job. That's what my plan is, to put out positivity in the world as much as possible. And we do it on our show as much as we can, but there's probably few other places other than a Weird Al focused program where you get a chance to continually shine with positivity. So yeah, I'm happy to be a part of it. I wouldn't even have thought to take on such a big subject. And you're like, hey, do you want to talk about the back set? I was like, yes. I have no idea how that's going to happen, but
I didn't either. But hey, this worked because
I think and I promise this is not a cheap plug of my own content, but I think it is nice though that I have the YouTube video that they can see like what we're talking about too. Because anybody, if someone listens to your program, they're probably aware of this box set, but if they haven't seen one other than still photos, like it's nice that they have a place that they can go and see this and be like, oh, that's everything that they were just talking about, you know?
Yeah. So take that cheap plug and go to the links in the show notes on this episode and watch the video. I'll put that there too. Yeah, because I think
Don't miss out on this deal.
Don't miss out on
for
this
free.
You can click for free. Look at that tomato.
Today's offer is click on one link, get one video for free. That's the
Wow, make me buy a garden weasel. Make me. Okay. Russ, I think we just have to close this. I don't know. I'm really bad at closing episodes. So
we always have. Actually, in our first several episodes, I had no idea how to close out our episode. And a friend of mine told me that I should start using the old phrase, without music, life should be, without music, life would be a mistake. And I was like, well, that's the most perfect thing anybody's ever told me. So every single episode since then, that's how we sign off. So you just got to come up with a sign off. Just come up with a good sign off.
Yeah. See, when it's me and my brother, I usually just stop him mid-sentence and I go, we need to put a pin in this. Can we just put a pin in this? And so, you know what? We're going to put a pin in this.
Sure. Yep. I'm certain this is not my last appearance on your program, so I will.
I am also certain, because I think few people. I mean, there's more people than I thought, but not as many people appreciate Weird Al as much as you that I have encountered in the world as of late. So yes, you will be back on the show for sure. And so for Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast and founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network. I am not a founding. I am just here. I'm an Al-affiliate.
You are an Al-affiliate.
That's cute. Anyway, that's it. That's the episode. We'll come at you again next time, people. Bye.
You could do what Michelle and Kyle do at the end of every one of our episodes, which is bye.
Oh, bye. We usually go bye, and then sometimes John goes. He does the bye in like YYZ by Rush. He goes bye. So
okay, bye everyone.
Bye. That's the end. Thank you.
Sorry, we got a one. We got a pencil again.